Walt Disney once said, "This is just what us storytellers do. Us storytellers, we restore order with our imagination, and we instill hope again and again and again." Order, such an interesting word to me that we handle so subjectively, but particularly when we're experiencing moments of grief and loss, we can be quite the interesting folks when it comes to this. You know, it sometimes feels like we don't even have our imagination, but I challenge you to look at the things around us. I mean, think about these gardens where they put bodies into the ground, and there's like stones above them, and you can like talk to the stones as if you're like talking to the person, right? Or think about this great upward or around us or down there that people think where people go, right? Or some people don't even believe in this idea that we pass on. They just believe that we reincarnate into a tree or a tree frog or a zombie. Some of us believe in this Mufasa thing, this circle of life where our bodies mulch and refeed the circle. Very, very interesting to me. Some of us believe that you can actually incinerate the body, take the ashes, scatter them in a place, and that will hold a person's spirit. Some of us believe in spirits, in ghosts, and energies, and who are any of us to say that anyone is wrong, y'all? What I'm trying to say is that in these spaces, this is where imagination is actually profound. In 2007, I was greeted by one of the most amazing young people who ever came to my life. His name was Zachary Muma. Zach was a part of a mentorship program with me at Chadron State College in Chadron, Nebraska. My job was to help Zach manage his type 1 diabetes, but also help him work with what they called social awkwardness, which was hilarious because I don't know an 8th grader in the world that isn't socially awkward. But what I've realized now is that it wasn't that Zach was actually awkward. It was so much so that he was just so good at being himself that we weren't used to seeing something so buoyant and beautiful. You see, Zach was fantastic about explaining his ideas and his dreams, and he would tell me about this idea that he had for this thing that was called Taekwondo, where it was like techno and taekwondo mixed, and he'd have this event at his church, and when the beat dropped, your job was just to lose your mind to the beat. See, Zach had things like this. Zach also, we were working on conversational frames and how to open up conversations with groups of people. And at the local Walmart, we would practice this activity. Zach was a natural at finding the most leathery-faced, blue-collar Western men he could find, and he'd roll up to them and ask them questions like, "What are your thoughts on the color magenta?" and you would watch as their faces softened to his own beauty. By the time I had graduated college, Zach was now moving into college. And after his first year, his diabetes started to get significantly worse. And his mother did what any mother would do, is she put Zach inside her vehicle and drove as fast as she could to the nearest hospital that would take him. On that drive, their vehicle struck some loose gravel and rolled 7 times, killing Zach and putting Crystal in the hospital for the greater part of 4 months. And here we are, facing this mortality again. But like Walt said, we have some jobs to do. We have some order to restore. And we have some hope to instill. This poem's called the Constellation, Zacharias. Today, he was exactly what the earth had intended him to be. He was content, creased in paper air cranes, bursting into the rural night sky like a flock of pheasants, Milky Waying in the aftermath of buckshot. 2 weeks ago, I was just a chocolate lab, sifting through a social media bush, trying to find an old winged friend. His Facebook wall was decorated like a Christmas tree. Handwritten ornaments. Rest in peace, Zach. We will miss you. I love you. It has always amazed me the way that those labs can sniff the sorrow right out of a pine grove. Like 9/11 canines sniffing sorrow out of a manhole. I like to wonder how slow your chest must have fell after its last rise. Was it like an ocean crawling upon the shorelines and dragging all of us back in? Or was it like driving through the rolling hills with those city lights in sight? The appearance appears, then disappears, and then you actually arrive. And you've arrived here, Zach, departing from all of us. And they keep on saying that only the good die young, but I can't help but wonder about the light that must have left you. I bet it was the brightest beam the plains had ever seen. Lightning reaching out from the ground, the prairie grass cracking open, and your inner incinerating into the wind. So many of our young boys are delivered where roads were not meant to end. I'm sure that you could hear a pack of mothers gasp simultaneously, and sometimes there are no forks in the road to make decisions, and sometimes you were just low insulin comatose with a panicked mother driving too fast. When a life flight came, I wondered if they could feel all the impacted life you had remaining in your breaths. I wondered if the night's air was cold enough that they could actually see it. I wondered if they could catch it in mason jars and use it as a guide as it materialized into light bugs to where you sat in the sandhills with your mentor, Jovan, when you were just 16 years old. And you swore to God that if you leapt from this cliff with a potato sack in hand, that you could collect enough stars that they would turn a burlap bag into a balloon. You would be wearing a top hat and a three-piece suit with those weird white gloves, our newest form, Constellation. Zacharias, the boy who wasn't a god but dreamed like one, the one who treated his life like Legos, constantly stacking, building, scrapping, and rebuilding stronger. And you left me without saying goodbye, dude. They always do. But you said, Jovan, I don't believe in that phrase. So instead, Jovan, peace. Instead, Jovan, breathe. Instead, I am still here. And you are still here, Zach. We see you every night when the clouds clear. Who is that soul up there ransacking the stars and throwing them back down to earth? So many wishes you have given that never came to you. A mysterious light, a daydreamer and a night plotter, a lesson on how to live life. Yo, you live like you own the clocks, like life never ticked on you, like you never talked on it. And I was once told by a 16-year-old curly-haired boy from Shadra, Nebraska, that if I ever needed a ticket to the atmosphere, all I had to do was ask, and a helping hand would come. So here I am, Zach. Let's stargaze from a cloud bed. Look for the smoke signals from the sandhills, and there I'll be. Three-piece suit, shine shoes, mason jar lantern, and a potato sack. Let's catch us some stars tonight, Zach. Let's make that solar system ours tonight, Zach. I will not miss this one. I am front and center. Forever yours, your mentor. Forever yours, your brother. Forever yours, your friend. Jovan, in the deepest of darks and the tightest of seams, I'll find you here at the edge of these dreams. I'll find you here, Zach. I'll find you.